Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Sprocket. And today I'm going to be running down, sort of like the British tank destroyer line, as it were. And this is just a collection of British tank destroyers. So we're starting off with sort of like tier 2. We've got the Lion Grifford tankette, which is I've shown before, and it's technically not a tank destroyer. It's just a fixed gun tankette with a 2-man crew. We've got a 20mm gun mounted in it here with a 27mm of penetration. Armour wise, yeah, it's 10mm, a 6mm side, 5mm rear. It's nothing amazing. It's pretty terrible armour wise. Mobility wise, it's alright. Yeah, it's got a 1.8 litre V2 engine. And clutch braking 2-man crew. It's nothing all too spectacular. Little 20mm gun, and we drive along interwar era, little tankette. So yeah, it's just a little fixed gun tankette that I've shown before. It's nothing too crazy or spectacular. But then we move to tier 3. And tier 3, we've got this thing, which is the Agincourt tank destroyer, Mark 1, obviously. Based on a cruiser chassis, obviously. We have got 50mm of frontal armour, interwar era, obviously, as well. 30mm of side armour all along here, and then we've only got 15mm of rear armour. However, yeah, that frontal sloped armour is very thick. Anywhere from like 80 to 100mm of frontal armour thickness. Lower glacis is only 30mm. It is sloped at a fairly decent degree. So it is, anywhere from 50 to 60mm, but it's nowhere near as strong as the frontal armour, at least. And then we've obviously got a couple of spare track links down there. The side armour is a little bit angled on the side there, and then rear armour doesn't really matter because it's only 15mm. But it's decently well armoured. We got the twin side exhaust, and we've got some vents and all sorts. Spare fuel at the back there. We've got a machine gun turret up the top, obviously. Commander's cupola as well. And there's obviously the driver's viewport, driver's gunner's sight, and of course the main gun, which is a 6-pounder. 57mm gun with an 88mm of penetration, which is not too bad. It's decently fast for being a cruiser tank. Obviously, interwar restrictions are stopping me from going particularly fast, but we can imagine wargaming stats. We can buff this. It's fine. So yeah, it's the engine itself is a 16-litre V8 engine. Probably to do with the fact that the transmission isn't particularly great. So I mean, if we change that to like 7, yeah, that'll do. We can only get up to 6 gears anyway. So that might help. That might help us with going a little bit faster. But at the same time, it might not. It doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, this is a very strong frontal armour tank destroyer. Obviously, the long-barreled 6-pounder gun is pretty good for taking out. Can we take out a badger? Yes, we can. We can take out a badger. Who'd have seen that coming? Yeah, decent rate of fire. Penetration-wise, it's pretty decent as well. As you can see, able to get through the frontal armour of a badger. Well, unfortunately, not quite that sloping, but penetration-wise, decent enough for tier 3 with the long 6-pounder gun. And yeah, got a spare wheel on the side as well. Obviously based off of a cruiser tank, it's meant to be more mobile than this, but Sprocket does what Sprocket wants. And yeah, so there is that. And then of course, tier 4, we've got the Longbow. We've seen the Longbow before. Unfortunately, it's a bit full up there with internal space, unfortunately. But we've seen this. This is actually probably the tier 3. Yeah, this is the tier 3, and then the Agincourt is tier 4. But 40mm frontal sloped armour, anywhere from 60. Actually, no, it might actually be the other way around. This might actually be the tier 4, because 40mm of thickness, but anywhere from 60 to like 110mm of frontal armour. Lower glacis is, yeah, this is definitely This is definitely the tier 4. Look at it, 70mm of lower glacis armour right here, all across the front. Side armour as well, 30mm only, and then of course 20mm rear armour. This is definitely tier 4. The actual gun itself is obviously a 6-pounder, once again with the same 88mm of penetration, 5-man crew so that we can fit the radio in, and then the engine itself is an 8-litre V8 engine. Let's see, can we drive it? No. How can we fix this? Fuel, carrying 800 litres. If I just drop that down, there you go for now. So yeah, well, there we go. Nice little cruiser style tank based on the Cheetah chassis. I think I built this on, and yeah, it's once again decently mobile. Well, supposed to be decently mobile, but you know, Sprocket does what Sprocket wants. And yeah, long 6-pounder gun. Obviously, once again, we can shoot at, I don't know, a King George. Shoot at a King George, tier 3 premium British heavy tank. Come on, take it out. There we go. Yeah, tier 3 premium. Can you believe it? Wargaming, what are you thinking? But yeah, that's the Longbow. We've seen the Longbow before. But then we jump to, I don't know, I've sort of forgotten the tiers. It's been a while since I've looked at the tier list, but tier 6 premium. Or is this premium? I can't remember if this is tier 6 premium or tech tree. But either way, castle gun carriage. Well, castle gun carrier, I suppose, is the closest thing, but it's basically just the castle, Mark 1 castle anti-tank variant. Obviously, turret has been removed and replaced with a massive long casemate. Frontal armour 140, being a castle. Lower glacis is 140, 150 for the upper glacis there, 140 for this top bit for whatever reason. 150 main frontal armour there, which gun carrier thing, isn't it? 80mm of side armour, 70mm of lower armour, so yeah, bit of extra armour on the casemate, and then for the actual rear is only 50mm. However, we are sporting a 17-pounder gun in here. There you go, 76mm 6-pounder gun, 17-pounder gun, 162mm of penetration. You can obviously upgrade that to probably a 20-pounder or a 32-pounder gun. Mid-war tank destroyer. Obviously 5-man crew, could probably easily fit a 6-man in there because, I mean, look at the internal space. Mobility wise though, exactly the same engine as the Mark 1 castle infantry tank, only a 12-litre V6 engine. Obviously being an infantry tank derivative, it's not going to be amazing on speed, but it's still decent enough for mobility wise. And then of course we've got the terrible hull traverse. But if we were to pick out something like, I don't know, an azimuth, for example, come on, there you go, 17-pounder shell right through his frontal armour. So yeah, once again, I have already shown the castle off, the castle anti-tank off already. However, I have not shown the next tank off, which will be the tier 7, I think this was. I think this is the tier 7 tank destroyer in the tech tree, which is the Castle Infantry Tank Mark II anti-tank Rampart, aka the Rampart tank destroyer, as it's known in the tech tree. It is another derivative of the Castle line, this one obviously built off of the Castle Mark II. And no, I have never heard of this Yak Tiger you are talking of. So you can see where the inspiration of this came from. The actual name came from someone in the Sprocket Discord. I'm sure you remember who you are. I know who you are. I'm just not gonna. But yeah, this is just a Mark II castle tank destroyer variant. Lower glacis is 80mm, upper glacis 150, upper casemate also 150, 40mm of upper armour all over the place. Rear armour is of course still only 50, side armour however has gone up to 75mm of side armour all around, 70mm of lower armour, or is that 50 still? I think that's actually still 50. Yes it is, it's still 50, but with the side skirts it goes up to 70mm of thickness. Obviously 50mm, but more highly sloped than the castle, than the Mark 1 castle anti-tank. So yeah, anywhere from 170 to 190-ish millimeters of frontal armor, which pretty good for a hull-down tank destroyer at tier 7. Obviously, little machine gun turret up the top, and then we've got the main gun, which is a 120mm gun. Of course it is. I think I based this off of possibly a British. It's either a naval gun or it's an AA gun. I can't remember which one. But yeah, 196mm of penetration, which not too bad for tier 7, I don't think. And yeah, Castle Mark II, obviously, so it's still got the same sort of mobility. What's the engine still? It's a 13.2 litre V6, so it's slightly more powerful. But for better armour and a better gun. Obviously, you start off with this stock with the 17-pounder, but you can upgrade it to the 120mm and maybe a 3.7-inch perhaps, or something along those lines. Maybe even a 20-pounder. Who knows? But yeah, this is the Rampart tank destroyer. It's pretty strong frontal armor. We can take out a take out a tier 5, I think it is, Castle Mark 1 easily. So as you should hope from a top tier tank destroyer in a tier 7 game, it can take out a castle frontally quite easily. And yeah, actual gun traverse limits are pretty good. I say that they're all right for a gun arc. Let's just see how far we can traverse the gun, and it stops there, which is it's not too bad for gun traverse arc. Let's see what the game says it is. No, 10 degrees either way, which it's better than the Churchill gun carriers. 5 degrees either way. So yeah, that is the Rampart tank destroyer. It's probably one of my favourite British tank destroyers that I've made. But we need to jump to our final tank destroyer, I think it is, because I've used up all the tank destroyers that I've made now. Yeah, because the land ships don't count, obviously, and we've had all of the longbows and the 18-inch gun carriage isn't really a tank destroyer. However, where's it gone? There it is. The castle gun carriages. It's a tier 10 British tank destroyer with a mid-mounted, sort of rear mid-mounted turret based on the Mark IV castle, obviously, hence the name. It is a late war tank destroyer. 80 tons, castle gun carriage mounting, everyone's favourite 183mm gun, 257mm of penetration from this long old gun, and of course, being based on the Mark IV castle, we have got a whole load of frontal armour. Much better than something like the 215B 183's armour. This has got 140 frontal armour, but at such a sloping that it's 200 plus frontal armour there. Obviously, the frontal armour is just a Mark IV castle's frontal armour, so 180mm lower glacis, 180. This is this is bolt-on armour, so 170mm of raw armour there, and then 180mm of raw armour, but then we add on the bolted armour that's on the front of the castle, that's on the front of the castle Mark IV rather, and yeah, we're getting 250 plus millimeters of frontal armour, which is pretty good. Side armour is 100mm of side armour. Is the lower still 50? No, it's 80. We've got 80mm of lower armour, and then upper hull armour is 100mm. Obviously, side of the turret is all 100. Rear, we've only got 40mm or 50. I think it's 50 on the hull, 40 on the rear of the turret. And then, of course, there's the castle exhaust. It's underneath the hull, underneath the turret rather, as we can see under here. We have got the engine deck. It is just a Mark IV castle which has had its normal turret removed and a far bigger 183mm turret stuck onto it. So yeah, we've got that going for it. Engine itself is a 24-litre V8 engine, same as, identical to the one that's in the Castle Mark IV, if we were to quickly pull that up. Oh no, it's actually more powerful in the Castle gun carriage, probably because it's basically nearly double the weight of the Mark IV Castle. But yeah, there's the front of the Mark IV Castle, as you can see, identical to the gun carriage, although the lower glacis has been buffed to 180mm. And then yeah, 183mm gun. Obviously, we gotta scare everyone with this at tier 10. I suppose I can't remember if I put the Castle Mark IV at tier 10. I don't think I did. I think it might be a premium tier 9. We can always put it against the future infantry tank. Obviously, he's not going to do anything. We didn't do anything to the front of his turret, and he's just firing his 20mm at us. And oi, stop that. But as you can see, long reload time, but that frontal armour is holding against the future infantry tank. He does only mount a 105mm gun on him, and his 20mm is obviously not going to do anything. Let's go for the lower glacis, shall we? Yeah, his 20mm is just bouncing off of our frontal turret mantlet, off of our gun mantlet. So let's go for that lower glacis. He's just fired his 105. There you go. Right through the lower glacis. Big 183mm shell. Very nice. So that is the British tank destroyer line, pretty much, that I've got. I've sort of run out of tank destroyers to make that aren't just rehashes of the tank destroyers I already have. But oh, just about got over it. Yeah. So that is the Castle gun carriage and the other tank destroyers. If I just turn the turret here, whoosh. There you go. There's the engine deck right underneath the turret. Hence why the turret's quite high in terms of having quite a large gun, quite a large turret ring, because we need space for the engine deck to be. But yeah, as it is not rear turreted like the 215B, it's yeah, it needs it. So yes, I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye. Oh, we didn't ammo rank him. What a shame.